Now we go to Tehran, where 11 political prisoners were freed on Wednesday ahead of the Iranian president's trip to New York next week for the United Nations General Assembly. Among those released was prominent human rights lawyer Nasrin Sotoudeh. Ms. Sotoudeh is a well-respected and outspoken human rights lawyer known for taking on high-profile political cases in the country. She even won the European Parliament's 2012 Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought. Now, during her captivity in Tehran's Evin jail, she went on hunger strike to protest against her prison conditions, as well as sanctions imposed on her family. The move comes just days before Iran's new president, Hassan Rouhani, visits New York for the UN General Assembly. Throughout his election campaign, Mr. Rouhani promised to free political prisoners. Joining me now to discuss the implications of this on U.S.-Iran relations is Reza Marashi, research director at the National Iranian American Council in Washington, D.C. Reza, thank you so much for joining us. The timing of this really seems so important. What is Iran's motivation in doing this right now?
I think the motivation is twofold. On the one hand, there's no doubt that in the run-up to President Rouhani's first big international gig, if you will, he's building capital with the international community by releasing political prisoners, pretty much all of whom never should have been in prison in the first place. But he's also living up to some of his campaign promises that he made. And I think that's important as well, because at the end of the day, what this is really about is the Iranian people. And by all accounts that I've heard from people in Tehran, people felt a sense of joy and relief. And hopefully this will continue. He's only been in office for a month, very preliminary, very beginning stages, but there's hope. And where there's hope, there's oftentimes the sense of change, and that's very promising.
Certainly sounds promising. And Reza, I don't know if you can move the microphone a little closer to your mouth. I just want to make sure we can hear what you're saying. I do want to ask you, though, in the past, we've seen Iran release foreign prisoners or Iranian Americans around the time of the General Assembly. How important is this for the domestic political landscape? If you could explain to us, the one that Rouhani is releasing political prisoners, what does that signify to you?
I think what it signifies so far is that he's done a good job of handling his hawks. Rouhani has extremists in his government, just like President Obama has extremists in his. And that's not creating a moral equivalency between the two governments. It's just to say that Iran has politics. So by taking a politically risky move, releasing some political prisoners, hopefully more are going to come as well, it signals a willingness to take risks for peace. It signals a willingness to push against some of the more extremist elements in his own government and try and bring Iran in from the cold. And that's something that we haven't seen in the past 8 years. So while it's certainly in the preliminary stages, I think is very noteworthy, and it should be acknowledged for what it is, and that's something positive.